Hi, this is Alex from phpacademy.org with a video tutorial for the new Boston. In this video we're going to look at the key up and key down functionality in jQuery. Now when you go to websites such as twitter.com and you look at the area that you would type a tweet in, you'll notice that you have things like a character countdown. Now these checks in the background are based on when you press a key on your keyboard. So in this example we're going to look at the key up and the key down event handling and how we can produce some output based on this. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to give the user a text field or a text input field, and then we're going to allow them to type inside of this, which is just a standard HTML form field. What we're then going to do is display the contents outside of the field. So we're not really creating anything practical, but you're going to get the hang of this key up and key down functionality. So the first thing we want to do is create another JavaScript file which is going to handle our events. So let's create a new file in our text editor, and I'm going to save this as keys.js. So I've now got keys.js inside this JS folder, and inside index.php I can go ahead and actually start to include this. So I'm going to say script type is equal to text/JavaScript and end that script there. The source is going to be js/keys.js. So now keys.js is going to handle the events that we the event of a key up or a key down. So let's build up our page to give you a rough idea of what we're actually going to achieve. So I'm going to create an input field, and this is going to be text. The ID of this is going to be user text, and that's all we need for now. Now let's go to our browser and have a look at this. We just have a text area where we can type something in here. Now what I'm going to do is create a div just below here, or we can create a span, I guess. And the span ID is going to be text or user text feedback. So I've called this user text feedback, and this is user text. Now the idea of this tutorial to demonstrate, we're going to allow the user to type something into this text field, and as they're typing we're going to relay what they're typing inside of this span. So essentially what's going to happen is as I type characters here, for example A will then appear underneath. When I type B will appear underneath, and this is all without refreshing the page, obviously. So let's go ahead to our keys.js and start to create our event handler. Now we need to reference our input text field, which is user_text. So we know that in here we can write #user text. We can then say dot. Now this is where we call the event handler. So I'm going to say key up, or key down we'll say. Now inside of here we need to create a function that's going to run a block of code based on when the user presses a key down. So function, and in here we can start to create our code in here. So let's just for an example now say alert key down. Now what's going to happen is when the user presses a key down while they're inside of the user text field, we're going to alert key down. So let's go over to our page and test this out. I'm going to click inside of here, and I'm just going to type A. Now you can see that we now have an alert box saying key down, so we know that this works now. It's an important part of testing. I know I do especially use alert boxes a lot just to test event handling. So we can just press OK on that. Even when we press a backspace we get the key down, and then you can see that the A disappears. So now that we know this works, we can get rid of the alert and we can start to actually write out the input into this user text feedback span. So we need to grab the value of this text field in order to display it out. So what we need to do is we need to create this value. So I'm going to create a variable, and I'm going to call this user_text, and that's going to be equal to the value that the user has currently typed inside of the element. Now to do this, we just need to say hash user text dot val. The val function will take the value that's currently inside of this text area, okay, or this input text. So now that we've got the value here, we can go ahead and echo that out again just to see if it's working. So let's go ahead and refresh the page. I'm going to type in A. Now the one thing you'll notice is that nothing has been relayed back to this alert box. However, when I go ahead and press another key, we get the first thing we typed. Now we'll look at this problem in a moment, however I'll briefly explain why we come across it. When we use the key down function, the event inside, for example this event inside of here, the functionality here, will be executed or run straight away. It won't wait to actually grab the value. Because we're grabbing the value after the key down, once we've pressed the key down, this will be run straight away. Therefore, it won't give this enough time to grab the current value. And we'll change it in a minute and look at the key up event handler, which will solve the problem. So we'll go ahead and write the rest of the code, and then we'll look at solving this problem in a moment. So what we now need to do is relay this value back to user text feedback. So what we can do is say $, inside here, user text feedback dot HTML. HTML is a function we'll look at a bit later. However, this just adds some code to the current element. However, we will worry about that a bit later when we come to it. So HTML is going to output a value into this span that we've created here. So let's go ahead and type in user underscore text inside of here. So now essentially whatever the value is returned here will be input into this user text feedback field. So let's go ahead and test this. Let's just get rid of that and refresh the page. Okay, so let's go ahead and start typing some data into here. I'm going to type A. You'll see nothing has appeared down here. However, when I type B, you'll see, oh well, it's next to the text field, but you'll see that we're getting the same problem as we had when we were using when we used the alert box. So as I type, it still relays the data. However, we're not getting the information in the correct order. You'll also notice that when I type ABC and I press backspace, you'll see C appear at the end of this AB here. Okay, so when we press, when we use the key down event handler, it doesn't relay the information in here in time for us to see it. So what we do is we instead use key up. So if you're having this problem, then key up is the event handler to use. So let's go ahead and test this now. A, B, C. You can see that it's writing it in exactly the same time as we're typing it. So in this tutorial, we've looked at the key down and the key up function, the differences between them, and where key up should be used, in this case when we're retrieving a value. And we've successfully created an input box which will relay information as it's being typed.